Evening, friends. We're at Twin Mountain, New Hampshire, at the Airbnb, staying with Rob and Sarah. They stepped out, but um, they did a nice little Q&A session with us, which is going to follow. That'll be today's video. Uh, you'll see Rob in the video. Sarah was running the camera, so she didn't get into the video. But we're going to hike out early in the morning. And cover some miles with them. Not sure if we're going to get all the way up to Mount Washington with them at the summit just because of logistics, and maybe having some challenges to get a ride back down from there. It's just really tough to do as far as getting transportation back to their vehicle. So I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like, but nonetheless, just want to say thank you once again for them taking the time to come all the way out here to visit us, share some miles with us, and having some fun, learning about our hike and experience and all that it entails. So thank y'all very much. Hope to catch up with you guys soon when we complete this journey. But definitely enjoyed having you, enjoyed you having us actually, and had a great time. So thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, please welcome Bluegrass and Bandit. All right.
All right. We're here. Oh, let me take this off. So now we're in a comfort zone.
All right. So we are here to finally interview Bluegrass and Bandit. There's been some questions roll in. I had some questions. My name's Cake Wheel. And, you know, this is a question answer. Then we're going to do a little bit about states afterwards. So, all right, guys. So first of all, first question, your background about hiking the AT. What made you want to hike the AT, and what kind of prep work did you guys do to lead up to it?
Well, I've thought about hiking the trail for probably 5 or 6 years seriously, and it's been a dream of mine. And when the opportunity presented itself with my job recently, I decided to go ahead and take advantage of the downtime and being able to do it. So as far as training goes, I've kind of dabbled in marathon runs, ultra runs. I've never been a fast runner, but you know, kind of my whole thing is, you know, try to keep going. And the AT is just like one big long endurance run.
Yeah, because on your 50th birthday, you did that 50 miler. I remember that.
50 miles.
So, okay, what about you, Bandit?
How much time you got? No, mine. I went to college in Dahlonega, Georgia, which, if you know anything about the Appalachian Trail, that's where it starts. It starts right there around Dawsonville, which is the next town over.
Okay.
And my roommate and I used to go up there when I was in college, and we'd talk about the Appalachian Trail back then. Of course, you know, life goes on. Went through life and got married, had kids, and everything. And about 3 years ago, my boys started hiking. I got 2 sons, and both of my sons started hiking. They're grown. They started hiking, and I wanted to hike with them. Problem was, I got fat. I was 245 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was 252 pounds. Excuse me, 252 pounds. And decided I couldn't hike when I realized I couldn't even run across the street. So I started training, knowing that I was going to retire in a couple of years. I knew I was going to retire. So I started training, and I started doing a lot of walking. Even I had a backpack, a training backpack that I put on, and I'd load it down with dog food and stuff to make sure I knew how much weight was in that thing.
Okay.
And I worked my way up to about 16 miles a day, 5 days a week is what I was doing in my training, and I lost 45 pounds before I ever got started.
Ooh.
So,
well, that congratulations. My goodness. Okay. Well, good. So that's a little bit of background. And then this was my personal question. How did you get your trail names, Bluegrass and Bandit?
I kind of cheated on mine. Most people get their trail names, you know, when they're out on trail. They're given a trail name through some sort of unique circumstance. I wanted to record my journey on YouTube and I thought it was best to go ahead and come up with a name that would be appropriate for the trail that I could go ahead and assign to my YouTube channel. So
Okay.
I kind of cheated a little bit there, but
I mean, well,
came up with Bluegrass just based off the fact that I'm from Kentucky. I'm from the Bluegrass state. I do love bluegrass music. I get asked all the time, do you play? I don't play, but I love to listen. So.
and we tried to teach him a few chords earlier, but I think Bandit was more interested in playing music than.
He got more musical talent.
And what about you, Bandit?
Well, I didn't have a trail name when I started. I just started. I'm Chuck. I just started with Chuck, and I've got a very identifiable laugh. Let's just put it that way. Everybody knows my laugh. And anyway, we're sitting around camp one night, and there was a gentleman we were hiking with at the time. And anyway, we were sitting around there, and I started laughing. And he said, "Oh my gosh!" He said, "You ever seen the movie Smokey and the Bandit?" And I went, "Yeah." He said, "You remind me of that guy when you laugh." He laughed. So he said, "I'm gonna call you Bandit." So.
Okay.
I said, well, I don't look anything like Burt Reynolds, but if you want to compare me to him, I'll take it. So that's how Bandit came.
So you didn't have a Trans Am growing up or anything like that?
No, I didn't have Trans Am, nothing like that. It was just
Okay. All right. Another question is, so I knew Bluegrass before, but I just met Bandit face to face yesterday. How did you guys? Is it still rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. How did you all meet on the trail?
Yeah, so, for me, I started on the 15th of February. He started on the 18th of February. We were 3 days lagging, but we got up rolled up into camp. It was right on Blue Mountain in Georgia. And we were getting ready to tackle the Smokies, and I was, it's cold. It's, February, and I was just anxious about going through the Smokies, knowing that it's going to be freezing cold outside, and I didn't want to be going through there totally by myself. So I wanted to kind of connect with somebody, at least going through the Smokies. And we were the only two that were in camp when we first rolled up, and we had a lot of stuff in common. We both had YouTube channels. We both hiked about the same pace, although he cranked out 19 miles that day. But there were just a lot of similarities, and to be quite frank, I mean, I really need to go back to our videos to find out how we kind of gelled and continued to hike together, because
it's probably a blur.
We never talked about it.
I think we never really talked about it.
But
we got through the Smokies, and we just kept going.
It's very organic, right?
Yeah.
You all same pace, kind of certain points in your life were the same.
Well, it wasn't necessarily same pace. I mean,
okay.
He said same pace, but it really was, because he's a whole lot faster than I am. I mean, he really is.
Really?
Even now, he's a whole lot faster.
Well, he always hikes.
But
you always hike ahead of him,
you
though.
always put the slow person in front.
Oh, okay.
Because the fast person gets in front, they get way ahead, and you can't catch up. But the
Oh,
slow person,
okay.
but he hikes faster. But what we were doing, our daily mileage was the same. We would do
Okay.
about the same amount of miles in the day, so it worked out for us.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Okay. And so, and this ties into the next question. So you met fairly early getting into Tennessee. So as of today, how many miles do you guys have down and how many miles to go?
Right now we're at 1852.
Ladies and gentlemen, 1,852 miles. Most people don't want to drive their cars that long. They've been footing it.
Which I think leaves us right about
340
miles.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
40 some miles, yeah.
And right now we are in New Hampshire, getting ready to cross into Maine. You only got about 3 or 4 more days.
A couple days. Yeah.
In that vicinity.
In that vicinity,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And we'll be hitting that.
Okay.
We still got to go over the presidentials first.
Yeah. Got a tough hike tomorrow, and K Quill and his wife are going to try to join them. So if we don't die. All right. So what's the weirdest thing you've seen on the trail? Weirdest thing. You might need to think a little bit about this, but you've been doing this for 5 months.
Go ahead if you want.
We can edit this out if we have to.
Yeah.
Keep it our PG rated.
We were walking into, was it past Boiling Springs or?
I'm waiting to hear what story you're going to tell first.
The one where the crazy lady was.
Yeah, it was in New York, and I don't know if we can tell all the whole story. We can't tell all of it.
Just the abridged.
I will tell the abridged stuff because we can't tell all of it. But we camped there was a town in New York, and I can't even remember the name of the town. But anyway, Pauley, New York.
It was
Pauley, New York. And great town. I want to make sure we tell that.
Super nice.
People were super nice. But anyway, the town will let you camp in a park that they have there. And we camped in the park. And about the time it was starting to get dark, there's a little creek that ran beside us. Somebody started playing loud rock music. And it was just clean. It was pretty good music.
Uh-huh.
And then it changed as the night got longer. It changed to some kind of religious chanting music. And then she stood outside and cussed us and called us all kinds of stuff and yelled at us till the wee hours of the morning till finally somebody called the police.
Oh my goodness!
I can't go all the things she was saying about us, but they were.
Was it right outside your all's tent?
Oh, yeah.
She was probably 50 feet away from us.
Oh my goodness!
And she was yelling and screaming and telling us that you guys. A bunch of soggy hikers hiking in a soggy field, and that was the nice thing she said.
Oh man! Well, it sounds like she was mad at somebody else probably, and just taking it out on you guys.
And we met some other interesting characters along the way too. But
that was by far probably the weirdest.
That was the weirdest. Yeah.
Okay. Did you all fear for your safety at that point?
Maybe a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Somebody's yelling those kind of, when they're yelling those kind of obscenities.
She went on for about 15 minutes, stopped for about 5, and then started back. And this is 11:30.
And you're wondering what else she's going to do after she finishes yelling at her. So it's finally another hiker called the police and got her to be quiet. So.
Oh, geez. Okay. All right. My dad wanted to know. Now, aside from, we knew you hurt your ankle early on, and you busted your nose up yesterday. They didn't get in a fight, ladies and gentlemen. He legitimately fell. At least that's what he told the cops. So but anyway, is there like aches and pains that you don't really say anything? A lot of times in your channels, you don't want to whine and feel like, but has there been times you fell, you scratched this, you scratched that, poison ivy, anything that you can, you don't really say much about, but it was painful or?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you chafe. That's the miserable when you're out there hiking for 20 miles.
Yeah, like 3 days ago, you all hiked 17 miles in the rain.
Yep.
And
you're gonna get chafed. Yeah. Okay.
And there's other things. I mean, you're going to be, we talk about it all the time. It's not necessarily pain, it's discomfort. You're always going to be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't hike, you can't walk for 1,800 plus miles, and your feet are going to hurt, your ankles are going to hurt, your knees are going to hurt. You're going to wake up in the morning, they call it the hiker hobble.
Yeah, it's in good a shape as you get. If you hike big miles, at the end of the day, you're hurting. That's just that never goes away.
But it's not really, like I said, it's discomfort. It's discomfort.
Okay.
It's not really pain. I mean, pain,
Your feet get beat up, I mean,
my ankle,
my
you knew
toes
about my
are
ankle,
numb.
but
I can't. Yeah.
So no big injuries, a lot of ankle, morning soreness.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed, like Larry, like you seem to just love that sunrise, and it kind of seems like it gives you a burst of energy. Is that too with you,
yeah.
Chuck?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you sleep through the night, the next morning you always wake up feeling. I mean, it's amazing out here the difference that a good night's sleep makes. And you wake up the next morning, you're ready to go again. After you get the soreness worked out of your feet and ankles, it takes a little bit to get that.
Agreed.
And usually, after 10 minutes on the trail, you're ready to go.
Okay, great. All right, Bluegrass Bandit. Another question from some of your followers. What's your best day on the trail, and what's been your worst day on the trail?
There's been so many best days. It's hard to even count. I mean, to me, we just went through. I'm going through Franconia Ridge. That's had to be the most phenomenal sight I'd ever seen. There's been some others. I mean, gosh, I could name a dozen of them right now. That's been gorgeous. Going up through the Smokies and hitting the spruce forest up through there and all of that. Worst days? Well, mine's obvious. The worst day was when I was coming down from what's the name of the hut where I got hurt?
You got
Westervald.
In Georgia?
In Georgia. I was in Georgia. It was pouring down rain. We woke up that morning. It was freezing rain that morning, so I had to knock the ice off our tents.
That's because you guys started in February, so it was still snowy.
Yeah, so I knocked the ice off the tent, coming down, and it was pouring down rain. And we had already made plans to stop at Westervald Shelter
Okay.
to drink a cup of coffee, and I just stepped over a little root, and unfortunately when my other foot hit the ground in the mud, it might as well have been ice. It just kept going, and then my foot hung on the root, and if it was sticking out, it'd been fine, but it was turned in, and then it ended up in the small of my back, and the rest is history. Anybody that's followed my channel knows I broke the ankle, so that was my worst day by far.
Broken ankle.
Yeah.
What about you,
Oh,
Bluegrass?
man, there's so many to pick from. It's so hard to say. You know, I think back about just the trail magic that we've had out on trail and the care, the care that I've gotten from a lot of our hostile experiences and stays.
Okay.
First one being Donna and Bill out at the Green Dragon, because I was still very anxious at that point, and they operate that hostel, and Donna just was a lifesaver at helping me kind of put me at ease, and you know, just kind of telling me logistically, you know, how things were going to roll. You're worried about freezing to death out there. And then Fancy's Place comes to mind, just because that was really a cool.
Okay.
Bandit makes guitars, and Pete there and Steph at Fancy's Place, they really made us feel at home, and he actually makes guitars too, and he brought his guitar down, and just to listen to those two guys go back and forth about their guitars, and it was really cool. So the people that you meet along the way, just to me, is my favorite part of the trail.
Okay.
I don't know if there's one specific experience, but and probably worst day too is coinciding with his, and really probably the day after he hurt his ankle, because we had to come down off of Wesser Bald, and that,
So
if you know that's a decline where you're literally walking, you know, along, you know, rock ledges that just fall
And
off the mountain.
was it still raining?
Oh yeah.
So
Still soaking wet.
Soaking
it was
wet.
Cold.
It
He's literally leaning on his poles as his, like, crutches, basically, coming down the mountain. And I just had this feeling that, you know, gosh, if something happens, it's not going to be a good thing, you know. And it was a difficult situation, but you know, we just did small steps.
How long did it take coming down the mountain on a broken ankle?
Well, it was 6 miles that I had to cover.
Oh, geez.
It was rough.
It was rough, and it probably took me 6 or 8 hours, I guess, to get down.
Okay.
It took, because I could put a little weight on that foot, but very little. So I was literally leaning on those trekking poles hard. I mean, had one of them snapped, I'd have been in trouble.
Oh,
Because
gosh.
they're carbon fibered, but they held up. But I got down there, and another couple walked with me for a little while too, and it was finally, you know, I just took it slow, and I made it.
And then the adrenaline, was that kicked in at first, and then at a certain time did your adrenaline wear off and you
Yeah, the
started
adrenaline was
feeling a
more
lot of pain? Your adrenaline, did it wear off quite early?
Yeah, but what was good about that, I mean, we were getting down to the Nantahala Outdoor Center.
Okay.
And the Nantahala River was right there.
Okay.
And I went straight to the river, took my shoes off, and my foot might as well have been stinking. It hit that water like, it was like, oh gosh. Even though it was middle of February, that water felt so
I
good.
bet. So just the natural numbing.
Yeah, the natural numbing
yeah.
took off. It didn't. I didn't know it was broke at first. I thought I just sprained
It real bad.
Yeah, I just thought it was
Then
a
you
sprained ankle.
got an x-ray and they said it was broken.
We didn't get the x-ray until about 300 miles in. 300
What,
miles later.
a carrier pigeon dropped it off to you?
Yeah, well, 300 miles later, his wife came to visit us.
Johnson City.
Yeah, and it was still hurting. I said, I
Yeah.
might ought to get this thing checked out. That's when I found out it was broken, but
Oh, geez.
I'd already hiked 300 miles on it by then. But
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Okay. And then just last question for part 2 of the interview, or part 1 of the interview. What advice could you give people, and what have you learned most for hiking?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just listen to your body. Start out slow. You know, there's a lot of fear mongering out here. People just are gonna fill your head with all sorts of stuff that you can really blow up and self-destruct with. But most importantly, from your health standpoint, you know, I heard great advice at the beginning. 8 is great. If you're in reasonable health and you start out with 8 miles, that's awesome. Just give yourself time to absorb the workload, and you know, the person who finishes last wins. I think that's just that's
Means
really
a lot.
Okay.
it means a lot, because it means you experience more out of the trail than the person who's rushing to the finish line. So
Yeah, and for me, it would be patient. Be patient. Don't feel like you have to fly through everything. I mean, there's so many people that feel like they have to fly, and we kind of laugh sometimes because they're moving so fast.
They're not stopping and smelling
They're
the
not
roses.
smelling everything.
They're not looking at the lake. They're not looking at the views.
Exactly.
They're not.
Or they're going fast, but they go so fast they get tired, so they'll pass you. An hour later, you're passing them because they're having to stop and take a break. And they'll pass you again. An hour later, you're passing them again
Yeah.
because they're moving so fast and trying. Be patient. I mean, it's going to come in. Like he said, you start off. I made the mistake, and I'll openly admit it. Because the third day in, I did 19 miles. Big mistake. You need to start off with 8 to 10 miles. At 19 miles, he can tell you. Then I started having problems with my IT band and my left knee because I overdid it.
Okay.
And once you do that, it takes a long time for that to heal. So start off slow. Even if you feel like if you're a marathon runner, don't do it.
Don't
8
start
to 10
out.
miles is all you need to be doing at first. You got plenty of time to do this trail. You
To
don't
work
have
it
to-
up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to ask them best states for certain things, and then Bandit and Bluegrass are going to give me their answer, and then each state will give a tick mark. And at the end, we're going to see which state had the highest marks. So, okay. So first one is, guys, what state, I know some states you hike more than others, but what was your best, if you could name your best hike, what state was that?
I would say mine was probably Virginia.
All
around the
right.
Triple Crown area of Virginia. That's probably the best hike. I mean, as far as just feeling good and doing everything we need to do, probably around in there.
Okay.
yeah, I'd say the Roan Mountain, you know, Little Hump, Big Hump, Grayson Highlands, that section of Virginia.
Okay.
Probably.
All right. We got 2 for Virginia. All right. What state had the friendliest people?
They're all friendly. Every one of them have, but Pennsylvania, that we got more trail magic in Pennsylvania than we got anywhere. There were about every time we crossed a road crossing, there was either somebody in person there, or they had water caches there, or they had something for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Probably most interaction with people that, you know, were very eager to help you get down the road.
Okay.
Keep you going.
But having said that, there were a lot of other states that had that as well. But
This is
Pennsylvania
just
had the most of it.
The most. Okay. All right. 2 and 2. Which state was, and guys, it's a lot of money to hike. They probably can tell you. What state was the most affordable hiking with your, you know, going to the store or just paying for a night? What's the most affordable?
Georgia.
I'd say Georgia as well.
Okay.
Georgia gets you off on the right foot. Trains you with hard ups and downs, but definitely they take care of hikers and make it affordable. It gets higher, more expensive as you go north.
Okay. All right. So we asked about best hike. What about the easiest hikes? Flattest?
Maryland, without a doubt.
Maryland. Okay.
Without a doubt. Maryland is the easiest.
Okay. Okay. All of them are agreeing on both of these so far. So I guess they've been hiking together.
Yeah.
So, which state has the most beautiful views?
Oh my gosh.
I know you've been at this for 5.5 months, but
I'm gonna have to say New Hampshire right now. I mean, Franconian Ridge, it just, as far as just, and the whites in general, just been gorgeous.
okay.
And I would agree with it, but just to have something just a little bit different to give you another option.
Okay.
Playa Bald had some phenomenal views up there, and that's in North Carolina, I believe.
Okay.
And it was gorgeous out there too.
All right.
The Smokies has some beauty. I mean, there's some beautiful views all through it.
Bandit's also from North Carolina, so he's giving us, he's kind of a little bit home advantage.
harsh,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Which state had the best privies?
Tennessee? No, I'm
They
lying.
don't
Tennessee
have
didn't allow it. They don't have they don't allow it.
I'm gonna go with, I think, Connecticut.
Okay.
Lord. I would have to say That's a tough one. I don't know because some of them, all the states have bad ones and good ones. I mean, probably the best one I was at. Where was that fancy?
A fancy outhouse.
No, it wasn't an outhouse. The whole shelter was just phenomenally
Okay.
pretty, and I can't remember what state that was in. And that's
I think
another
it
thing.
was in New Jersey.
I think it was in New Jersey, so I'm gonna have
Okay.
to look to that one.
New Jersey gets on the board. Best privy. All right. Which state has the best camping when you all camp out?
Our best campsite has probably been Vermont.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with
On
that.
that
All right.
On that pond, that was a gorgeous pond that we camped on. That was the best one.
And then the Stones backyard, that was pretty cool too.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Trail Magic.
Is that in Pennsylvania again, or?
No, that was Vermont. That
Oh,
was
Vermont,
The guy's
okay.
name was Stone. He was a pass-through hiker.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
2002.
Just invited you to his
invited us-
backyard,
Yeah,
right?
invited us to his backyard, let us camp in his backyard, cooked us waffles the next morning, had his own homemade maple syrup that he gave us.
Oh
and-
my goodness.
That was awesome.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Okay. Camping, but like, which state has the best hostels? If you have to community stay.
Easy. That's Georgia.
Okay.
Agreed.
Georgia again.
I mean, don't get me
Well-
wrong. They're all good.
They're all good, but we're just saying the best.
Not all.
Fancy's was in Franklin.
That was North
Frank-
Carolina.
That's North Carolina.
Yeah, so the-
I'll give North Carolina.
Oh.
the
Yeah, it's
vote.
one North Carolina, one Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot
Okay.
about Fancy's.
Georgia?
It was in North Carolina. Well, I did forget. I just forgot it was in North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay, so Georgia, you're down to 3. North Carolina, you got 2. All right. Which state has the best lakes and ponds?
I think that's probably yet to come.
That's probably yet to come. It's probably going to be Maine, but right now, from what we've seen, it's right here in New Hampshire.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Now, Vermont has
natural-
the prettiest lake, but they're all.
natural lakes. I
Yeah.
mean, they have glacial ponds up here where most of the states to the south don't have.
Okay. All right. We're back. Which state had the, well, we already said, no. Which state had the hardest hiking?
I'd say Pennsylvania, western Pennsylvania, or eastern Pennsylvania.
You know,
Sorry,
it depends on
northeastern.
what you call hard. I mean, right now, New Hampshire has some of the toughest climbs and toughest rock climbs. So I'd say New Hampshire for that. But if you
Okay.
talk about the most
For the-
aggravating,
Uh-huh.
I would say
Pens-
New York.
Oh, New York. Okay.
To me, New York was more aggravating than Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania had the sharp rocks that tore up your feet, but New York would run you up to the top of the mountain to go over some
Ridge.
rocks and then bring you right back down, and then go up the next one and bring you right back down, and it was just frustrating.
Okay. So those are, for you listening and watching, for those that are interested in a, I guess, challenging one. So, okay, so after all this, it looks like Georgia with 4 points. Georgia wins for the best. Now that's not saying,
I was gonna say
they're better than the other, but just on my questions. So, and it's a pleasure for me, Cake Wheel, to get up here with Bandit and Bluegrass, just to see the everyday, day-to-day, what they have to go through sometimes just to be picked up, dropped off, reservations, no reservations, good weather, bad weather. So they've been, like I said, they've been hiking 5.5 months, right? And it is not cheap. Sometimes just to stay a night in a hostel is $50. So they've got both Venmo accounts. Bluegrass is at Bluegrass on Trail, and Bandit is at Chuck-How-4. So I'm going to show those to you guys. So send your love. You can definitely send them your questions, give them inspiration, but maybe send them some money too. So I know they're probably broke by now. So
I just want to say, take a moment to thank you guys for coming out. Rob and Sarah, great friends of ours, and I know Bandit just met them, but great friends of our family, and just means a lot to me to see you guys come out and experience, share some miles, share some of the experience. It's been an incredible journey. Anybody gets a chance to do something like this, I'd strongly recommend it, because it's just it's just an amazing experience. Not only getting in touch with nature, but also it really does restore your faith in humanity, and you see so much good in people. So, you know, if you got a chance to experience that like I have, and made a lifelong friend now with Bandit, it's just an awesome experience. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity. But after experiencing this, I'm more grateful for the friends and family that I have that support me along the way. It's just, it's so impactful, it's so meaningful. So thank you.
Yeah, and I want to echo that too. You know, I know I just met you guys, but you know, you're in this cabin. They arranged this. You know, so I mean, and it's been great. I mean, they welcome me, and then, like he said, we've made lifelong friends, and people say that all the time. They say, "How did you guys meet up? How did you guys do all of this?" And you know, it's one of those things that just happen, and you know, it's an experience that you can't really explain. You have to be out here to see it. You know, people talk about it and the trip of a lifetime. Some people say, "Why in the world would you want to do it?" Unless you're out here, it's hard to really put it into words. It's just something that you'll never forget.
All right, I'm a Kentuckian, so I guess it's only appropriate to lead us out with some bluegrass music.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
Uh-oh. Did y'all bring out?